Did you know most independent artists and music producers spend thousands of dollars on unnecessary music production expenses, often without realizing how quickly it adds up? For many, music creation becomes a financial trap instead of a passion project. What's up, artists and producers? Whether you're just starting out or you've been in the game for a while, one thing's definitely for sure: music production is not cheap. From gear to studio session, it all adds up. But what if I told you that most producers are just bleeding money in places that they don't even realize? Today, I'm going to break down how music production is draining your wallet, and more importantly, how to stop it before it ruins your budget or your career. Here's the real issue. Most production costs aren't just about big purchases like an interface or monitors or a laptop, right? It's really the hidden costs that pile up. Unused plugins, renting studio time you don't maximize, constantly chasing better gear, or paying engineers who don't fully understand what you need. These habits can silently rack up thousands, and I mean thousands of dollars per year, especially if you're releasing music consistently. It feels like it's a death by a thousand cuts, and most music producers don't even see it happening until they're deep in debt or just discouraged from creating altogether. So let's break down the areas where we as music producers are spending our money, where these costs are really spiraling out of control, and what you and I can do to really stay ahead of it. Number one is studio time, right? Renting studio time might feel like a professional move, but if you're unprepared, you're literally just burning cash. Sessions often cost. Now, if you've been in studios and you pay for studio sessions, these sessions can often cost between 50 to 150 and even higher an hour. And many new producers underestimate how quickly that time flies once the clock starts. The unnecessary expense here is really just booking long sessions without a clear plan, wasting time troubleshooting or experimenting on the spot. You can't do that, right? That's valuable time. So to avoid this, come in with your arrangements done, your references ready, and vocal takes fully rehearsed. The studio isn't the time to rehearse, right? It isn't the time to experiment. Or better yet, just invest in building your own home studio for less than the cost of, recording at a quote unquote professional studio for your EP, your album in that commercial space. Number two is something I think all of us face, which is gear addiction, also known as G.A.S, or gear acquisition syndrome. That new synth, that new interface, that new controller, that new MPC. It might look like the missing piece, but it's not going to fix your workflow. Many producers fall into the trap of thinking better gear, right, equals better music. But thousands of dollars are often wasted on unused or barely used equipment. I mean, just look at your studio. How much equipment do you currently have today that you rarely touch? The unnecessary expense here is buying gear based on hype, right? Your favorite music producer on YouTube is talking about it. You see somebody using a nifty piece of gear and you're like, oh, I gotta have that because I think that's going to take me to the next level. Rather than what you actually need, right? Don't look at all the gear and go, oh, that's dope. But what do you really need? What is really going to help your workflow and your process? That's for you to consider. Start to think about what you truly need, not what's trending on YouTube or on Instagram. The biggest thing I always tell people to do is to master your existing tools before you decide to upgrade anything. And remember, artists and music producers have made hit records on cracked DAWs and $99 microphones, right? I'm not advocating that you go out and get cracked DAWs and all that, but it has been done, right? So you don't have to go out and buy the latest, craziest gear and tech and outboard gear and MPCs and machines and all that. Skill will always matter more than gear. Number three, professional services overload, right? Hiring a mixing or mastering engineer or a graphic designer or a session musician or a vocal tuner for every single release. Now that can quickly add up, sometimes costing you hundreds of dollars per track. Now you multiply that over an EP or a full-length album and you're deep in the red. The unnecessary expense comes from outsourcing everything, right? Even for demos and non-priority releases that won't bring much in return. You don't have to outsource every single thing. So to avoid this, learn the basics of mixing, the basics of mastering, and visual design for yourself. For important projects, yeah, like radio ready singles or sync placements and things like that, yeah, you can outsource strategically and only when it truly counts. Number 4 is something I think we all deal with on an everyday basis, which is plugin and Soundpack hoarding. I mean, every plugin or sample pack deal looks like a steal, during Black Friday or those summer sales or end of year sales, until your folder and your hard drive is filled up with tools that you never touch, right? That $20 here, that $50 here, right, can easily snowball into hundreds or even thousands spent on a yearly, annually basis, right? The unnecessary expense is really you and me. Sometimes it's me, right? I will admit, right? We all get into that, right? Which is collecting plugins and sound packs that either overlap in function or never make it into your actual workflow. I mean, think about how many plugins you got and how many plugins you actually use. So what do? Right? One of the things that you need to do, and I do it, and a couple of friends of mine, we do it, which is to audit our tools quarterly. There's things you don't need, we just go and delete them. Stick to the plugins that are your go-to and your go-to sample kits. Also consider free high quality alternatives like Surge XT or Vital or Labs by Spitfire Audio. And also, there's nothing wrong with your own DAW stock plugins. And number 5 is subscription creep. Monthly fees can sneak up on you. Trust me, they can get you, right? All these sample libraries, these plugin bundles, these cloud storage, these DAW expansions, these beat marketplaces, TrackLib, BeatStars, Splice, right? Who you put anybody in there, right? All of these different marketplaces where you subscribe to Output Arcade, right? Just to name a few, or where we spending all of our dollars every single month or on a yearly basis, it can add up, right? Each one feels manageable on its own, but together they are slowly and quietly draining your finances. The unnecessary expense is the dozens of active subscriptions that you forgot, because sometimes we forget, right? Or we barely even use. And a lot of these are on auto renew without delivering any real type of value. We forget, right? So once again, the big thing to do is to audit your subscriptions on a quarterly basis. If something isn't part of your regular workflow or you haven't used it in a month, cancel it, get rid of it, right? Delete it. You can always resubscribe when you're working on a project that specifically requires you to have that plugin or that database or whatever it may be. And number 6 is outsourcing everything, right? Paying for cover art and beat placements and distribution help and social media promotion can all feel like shortcuts to success. But without a clear strategy, it quickly turns into a money pit. Many producers throw money at tasks that they could really handle themselves with just a little guidance and a little effort. The unnecessary expense lies in outsourcing the very basic and repeatable tasks without understanding their true value or impact. Instead, leverage free or low-cost tools like Canva. I love Canva. I use Canva all the time. That is a subscription that I will absolutely pay for because I design everything in Canva, and you reap it back. So try things like Canva, for your design, or use distribution platforms that include built-in promo tools like DistroKid's Hyperfollow. Or you could tap into other DIY marketing tools on YouTube or different producer forums, right? Tap into those different communities. Learning the ropes can save you thousands of dollars over time. So here's the truth. The single most powerful way to cut your music production costs without sacrificing your quality is to take control of your creative process through a DIY approach. That means investing in a home studio setup, right? Kind of buying some of this type of gear, using budget-friendly or even free tools strategically. So for example, build a home studio. It don't take much to build a functional home studio. That's not going to break the bank. You can get a laptop, right? You can get a decent audio interface, a good quality headphones. You can get, these types of monitors for your, for audio. You can get this type of keyboard, right? Really inexpensive. If you really want to go and get like an MPC, you can even get that too. right? But having those essentials, right? It's quality gear that you can use, and it's inexpensive, that is not going to drain you. It's not going to cost you thousands of dollars, and it is going to last over time. And the biggest thing is your DAW of choice, which for me is Logic, right? In case y'all don't know. Now, granted, I do have other DAWs, but Logic is the main thing, right? With all of that, you are 80% of the way there, right? You can add in a reliable mic and some DIY acoustic treatment over time, but grow into it. You're just not paying hourly, right? You're no longer going to the studio. You can sit in your own home and experiment on the tracks that you want to with the music that you want to create and not spend that on anything else, right? That freedom right there is priceless. And when it comes to software, some of the best producers in the world are still using stock plugins. I mean, think about it. It's not about how many tools you have. It's about how well you know how to use those tools, right? So once again, I mean, you could use those free plugins like Vital or TDR Nova or Surge XT, or even any of the stock plugins in FL Studio, Logic, or Ableton, and you've got everything you need right there to take your music from good to great without breaking the bank. Plugin companies also from time to time will release free instruments and effect plugins that you can find on sites like pluginalliance.com or pluginboutique.com. They got free stuff up there all the time. You don't have to spend your money all the time on expensive plugins. What really saves you thousands isn't gear. It's knowledge and intentionality. When you understand how to mix and master and promote and release your music smartly, you stop relying on expensive services you don't really need. And that's the real transformation right there. I mean, your creativity becomes an investment, not a liability. And don't forget, the most valuable asset in your studio isn't your DAW, it's not your monitors, it's not your MPC, it's not an interface, not a keyboard. It's your mindset. When you shift from spending blindly to creating intentionally, that's when you experience growth. And that's when you start to save. I mean, you're no longer spending all that money. To recap, music production costs stack up fast. I mean, look at your bank account. From studio fees, gear obsession, outsourcing, plugin hoarding. But with smart planning, a DIY approach, and the right knowledge, you can protect your wallet and still create high quality music. Being a producer isn't about how much you spend, it's about how wisely you create. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the biggest unexpected expense you've had in your music production journey? Drop it in the comments below. And if this video helped you think differently about your production setup, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your other producer buddies who need to hear this right now. Until next time, keep creating, stay inspired, and keep pushing the boundaries of music. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.